2 more minutes. Come on, watch this. Come on.
They reacted severely and did all they could to influence the city officials to stamp out the church.
The very people, sound like black folks, sold their own folks in slavery. I went to the Cape Coast in Nigeria, to the slave castles, and saw where the slaves were kept. And in one little room, the room was probably from about me to the wall, and they used to put the male slaves in this dungeon from me to the wall. I don't think it was quite this big, this area. They used to put 500 to 1,000 men in a room that small that had no lights. And they would urinate over each other, defecate, blood. So when you walked in the slave castle, on the floor was black. And so what they did was they excavated one of the dungeons to the floor, and it was all red brick. You know what that black stuff that covered, that was 6 to 8 inches thick on the floor? It was when you walk in there, you can smell it. It was the feces of the slaves, the blood of the slaves, the urine of the slaves because of their persecution. But it was their own brothers and sisters in Africa that marched them down to the European slave owners and sold them into slavery. And this is the same situation that we have here. The very Jews that were in power went to the Roman government and tried to make sure that they snuffed them out. I got to tell you this part about what I learned through my studies. Guess what they did? They knew how much these people loved God and that they would stand up for God. So guess what the Jews decided to do? They said, I tell you what, I want you to get Caesar to make a proclamation. So once a year, watch this, once a year, every citizen of the Roman government and everybody that inhabited had to come downtown, stand up on the stage, and say these words: we give allegiance that Caesar is Lord. If you wouldn't do that, they either killed you or took every property that you owned, because you was denouncing Caesar as Lord. Many of the Jews in Samaria refused to stand up and say Caesar was Lord. They stood up and said Jesus is Lord. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And because they refused to take down, they took their property, they took their families, they persecuted them. And Jesus said to this church, because you stood the test, I'm going to give you a crown of life. Come on. Are you hearing me? Can you imagine?
Jesus.
Someone coming to you, Leo. You worked all your life for everything you had. And they said, Leo, if you don't get up and say that Obama is King and Lord, I'm going to take your house. I'm going to take your car. Everything you own, you're going to be in the streets tomorrow if you don't do it. How many of us will say, well, ain't no harm in saying Obama's Lord. I really in my heart know who's Lord. I'm just going to say it with my mouth, but my heart knows. Oh, no. That's how it works. Y'all get my point? Some of us will say, I just said it, child. I really didn't believe it. In God's eyes, you denounced him. Because, are you with me? And so these Jews, because they failed to uphold Caesar's Lord, they were persecuted. This church, they took those Christians that failed to do it, they put them in a lion's den, and they got in an arena. That was their football game. That was their NBA basketball. That was their baseball. These people were so cruel to Christians. They were determined to get rid of everybody that talked about Jesus in the church in the city of Samaria. And God loved this church. And I'm going to show you as we move forward, I'm closing, you're going to see some of the horrific things that they went through. Just because they refused to bow to Caesar. And I wanted to encourage you tonight take a stand for what you believe. Let us be a church that will take a stand for what's right. If your best friend go wrong, you go right. You stand for what's right. Treat folks like you want to be treated. Are y'all with me tonight? There's going to come a time when the church will continue to be persecuted. Will you stand for what's right? Or will you say, Lord, you know my heart. I'm going to cuss them out and say, you know what, I really didn't mean it. Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on, Sam, give me some song. Are y'all, come on, give God a hand praise right now.